Hello and welcome to round 2 of the Parenting Roundabout podcast. I'm Catherine Haleko and I'm here with Terri Morrow. Say hi, Terri.
Hello.
Usually on this podcast we talk about parenting issues, but once a week Terri and I like to get together to discuss TV, movies, books, and other entertainment topics because it's nice to talk about something other than parenting for a change. This week we're talking about another fine West Wing episode, the Stackhouse Filibuster. And we continue our challenge round with one of my favorite albums from one of my favorite bands, Fountains of Wayne. But first, speaking of music, the Grammys. To talk about the Grammys, we needed to bring in a special guest star, Nicole Eredics, who you might know from our regular weekly podcast, because Nicole is much more of a popular music listener than Terri and I are. I mean, we get the top 40 radio in the car. That is our level of knowledge. Yes. But Nicole's a little, we think Nicole's a little more.
I have to say, it's very helpful that the Grammy season is so weird because it was like mid 2015 to 2016, I think, something like that. Because I was saying, I haven't really listened to any songs since, the summer or maybe late 2015. So there's nothing new that I'm going to know, but it's all stuff from back then. So I recognized more things than I thought I would.
Yeah.
Hey, it's that song we heard a bunch of times 2 summers ago. Yes.
That's right.
So, Nicole, what did you think? Or did you enjoy the performances? I mean, the Grammy Awards show is way more about performances than about actually handing out awards because they give out very few. Mm-hmm. So what did you think of, first of all, the performances?
Well, sort of just backtrack. Let's just say that the Grammy Awards last night were more about outfits than music and performance.
True.
But I thought there was a variety. I have to say I love the Lady Gaga and Metallica performance. That was definitely up there on my list, despite the sound that.
They had some technical fails,
technical difficulties, but I love that Lady Gaga kind of crossed over into the heavy metal world. Could have done with a little less dancing, but she definitely showed her ability to adapt to different kinds of music.
She really did.
I mean, what a contrast with the Super Bowl halftime show.
Totally, yeah. So, and her voice really suited it. I mean, if you closed your eyes, you couldn't tell that she was a pop star. You would think that she was,
I think in both cases, she showed an ability to adjust to what was called for by the event. Mm-hmm. And that's really good. You don't see that oftentimes.
No, and it was fun to highlight, music that not everybody listens to.
Yeah.
So, and it certainly got the attention of my husband. So, audience numbers went up. But I think, there was some very interesting. I kind of like the ABBA tribute too. I don't know. I was in the Bee Gees.
I thought that was a good one.
Yeah.
Demi Lovato. I mean, that girl can sing.
Oh yeah.
Although I did think it was funny that she seemed to be wearing the exact same outfit that Alicia Keys wore earlier when she performed. Right. Remember that? And then someone else came on during that same ABBA thing and also had like the sparkly wide leg pants.
Wait a second. It wasn't. It wasn't. There was an ABBA tribute too, or was it Bee Gees?
Well, there was Bee Gees. Was it Bee Gees or am I saying?
I thought it was all Bee Gees.
You know what? Why did I think it was ABBA? I saw something about ABBA. It was Bee Gees. That's right.
There's probably a cultural observation to be made on that, but...
Okay, I'm not up on my music pen. I don't know why.
I could be wrong. I was working while I was watching, and I was periodically hitting the mute button when people were being embarrassing, and so it's possible that I missed the introduction. I wasn't listening to many introductions because they seemed to be written in a cringeworthy way. So oftentimes I didn't quite know who this was singing or why. So maybe it was. I could be wrong. I know there was a Bee Gees tribute.
No, I think it was Bee Gees. I think you're right.
Okay, yes. I didn't know where I got ABBA from. Maybe because like you, I was tuning in and out.
Yeah.
Okay, let's backtrack. But yeah, no, I really like the Lady Gaga and the Metallica performance, and of course, Adele and Beyonce. How about you, Terri? What was your highlight?
Well, your boyfriend Bruno Mars was there.
My boyfriend?
Don't you love Bruno Mars?
Oh, I love that one song.
You just love the one song.
Yes. Okay. Which is now leaving my mind as to what it is. Well, my daughter...
Uptown Funk!
Yes, Uptown Funk! How can I forget Uptown Funk? Yes, I liked that. I like his stuff fine. I wouldn't say he's my boyfriend, but okay. I like his stuff fine. My daughter was disappointed that he wasn't singing that one song of his that she wanted him to sing, which I think was 24 something.
24 Karat Magic. That's his new.
Oh, yeah.
That's like too new for the Grammys.
Showing my sharp appreciation of popular culture. 24 something. I don't know. Yeah, she wanted him to sing that. But I will say, I had been listening earlier in the day to a little Chance the Rapper because I was so impressed with him on the Hamilton mixtape in which he was singing. And then I've been meaning to kind of check him out. So I knew he was going to be up for some awards. And I enjoyed what I listened to. And I was very impressed with him in the award show.
Mm-hmm.
He was, I think, sort of overwhelmed by winning so much. And then I really liked his performance. I liked the combination of things that were
with the
going on there.
Gospel choir.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I like the Prince tribute. That was nice.
That was well done.
Yeah, that was with Bruno.
Uh-huh. What did y'all think of Beyonce's whatever exactly that was, pageant?
Well,
I'm not saying this derogatorily. It was quite something. I'm just not sure what exactly it was.
I went back and forth between like, wow, she is laying it on really, really thick. And then, if anybody can, she can. Yeah. And if anybody can do it, if there's any place to do that, it is the Grammys.
Yes.
I mean, that is the home for this kind of crazy production number.
Indeed.
That just...
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yes. And if it's that or Miley Cyrus twerking with somebody, that is what I want to see. It was an interesting approach and sort of coronation. It's like even if she didn't win win the awards of the night, she certainly won the night performance-wise or spectacle-wise.
Yeah.
It was very Grammy-y. I think that's what I expect when I tune into the Grammys. I don't expect to see Adele standing at a microphone. I expect to see spectacle. And Adele, unfortunately, is not a real spectacle-y singer. Her spectacle is her voice, and that is her thing. But it does sort of underwhelm in this particular thing where you expect to be wowed by what's going on the stage and not necessarily just by what you're hearing. So I think that put her at a disadvantage. It seems they can't put dancers behind her or something. They couldn't put, I don't know.
Yeah.
Seems like there would have been a possibility.
But that's her image anyway. I mean, she's not, she's not like Beyonce where she's go big or go home. She's very classic.
She is. Yeah. And I mean, I like that.
It's all about the voice.
I like that. But if it's all about the voice, then when you have technical problems, it's that much worse.
Yes.
If you're Metallica and you have Lady Gaga prancing around and stuff and your microphone goes out, there's still a lot of other stuff going on.
Yeah.
But if you're standing on the stage with a microphone and your sound is bad and you're off key, it just kind of throws a spotlight on it, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In an unfortunate way.
And can I just say, why did we need to see, this totally has nothing to do with the singers, but why did we need to see James Corden's parents hanging out
with Heidi Klum and Nick Jonas?
Oh, for the same reason Ellen had to get everybody pizza and Jimmy Kimmel was passing out peanut butter sandwiches. It's a shtick.
Why do they need a shtick? Why? This isn't about them.
That is an abiding question of award shows, which nobody has quite been able to answer.
I know. It just is so random. How awkwardly uncomfortable to have Heidi Klum sitting on your dad's lap. I mean, it's just...
Yes. And while I'm interested that they were all sitting on folding chairs, I don't think I needed to see the thing flip up and down 25 times to make that point. Move on, James. It's too bad because I like him a lot, but don't think it was a really successful hosting stint.
No.
Right.
No,
I mean, one of the reasons that Terri and I even tuned in was given our lack of knowledge was because of James Corden, because we've enjoyed him in the past. And, he did a pretty good job at the Tonys, which is his element, and it seems like the whole reason why he got this was because of carpool karaoke.
Right.
And not.
It didn't look like everybody knew the words in carpool karaoke.
No, John Legend didn't seem to know the words. But as we've always said, that the hosting gig is it's usually thankless. I mean, there's just almost never anybody who can do it to everyone's satisfaction.
Right. It is.
That's
hard.
right. That is true. But yeah, no, I enjoyed it. I think there was a variety of music up there that was appealing.
That's true. I think I enjoyed it more than I have past Grammy ceremonies. I don't know why specifically, but I think a
lot of the performances and the tributes were very accessible.
Yes,
to
that is true.
People who don't follow music super closely or are, of our generation. They were things that we could enjoy and feel good about listening to. Yeah. So I think that probably helped a lot.
I think there was possibly a little bit less spectacle than usual, which when that works, it's great. And when it doesn't work, that's what you remember, that horrible number, that horrible thing they did. And there was nothing really horrible. It was like there were some things that were underwhelming, but there was nothing that you said, oh my gosh, did you see how awful that was? So that might be part of it too. It was generally enjoyable.
The only thing I can't really speak to is the country music side of it, because that's
neither.
And that's not one of my favorite music genres, but and of course,
I do like country.
It did seem like kind of an upset that the Maren Morris won her award, and she beat out some big names.
Grammys, just a mixed bag of stuff, just you have these certain I don't know, it just doesn't seem to always play it the way you think.
It seems to me that
obvious.
Recently there's been a large run of people winning the big awards who the people I follow on Twitter find to be outrageous. So Arcade Fire, I think, one year, Beck one year, and there's always some much hipper thing that people wish had won. But I don't know. I'm not very hip. I always go and check out their music and like it, so perhaps they're voting for me. Terri, you would like this. Here, let us give it a big award so that you'll go check it out.
This is what the Grammys are all about.
Gotta go listen to the rest of that Adele album, because I think Hello is the only thing I've heard.
Yeah, no, she's got some great music. There's another one. My daughter was just listening to another one the other day, and I thought, I've got to pay attention to that. I don't know if it's, it hasn't been getting a lot of airtime, and recently it's picked up. So, it caught my attention, but I like her music.
Yeah. And she seems to be a genuinely nice person. If you like Adele, Google this, or I'll try to find a link and I'll put it in our show notes too. She did a Tiny Desk concert.
That was really good.
That is hilarious, because she sings in this glorious voice, and then her speaking voice is just so normal person, so she'll stop singing, and then she'll burst into something. That she forgot her gloves or something like that. And it's just very, very cute. Both beautiful musically and adorable personality-wise.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. Well, we will check that out. Nicole, did you have a last thought on the Grammys?
Just one last thought. Did we ever find out why 21 Pilots accepted their Grammy in their underwear?
Yes, they said in their speech that...
Okay, I missed that.
Allegedly, whether this is something that was written for the moment or actually happened, years ago, they were watching the Grammys in their underwear, and they said, hey, if we ever win one, we should accept in our underwear.
Okay, I missed that part. I must
you
have
know,
had the volume down.
It made me laugh and seemed of a piece with that song, and especially the video for that song, which I
21
like.
Pilots.
Yeah.
Well, and I also I enjoyed that it was a little bit of a different speech than, it wasn't just a thank you to this person, thank you to that person, or a political speech. It was just like a funny story from when they were not famous.
Yeah.
So
lighthearted.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're just a couple of guys who happen to win a Grammy. Look at this.
Well, it was a little bit more interesting than CeeLo Green's outfit, but
I missed this outfit apparently.
Oh, how could you?
Yeah, I
will have to Google
I was
it now.
Focused on Jason Derulo's giant fur cape.
I may have missed that too. I seem to have missed many things by only watching it, sort of. So
with one eye and one ear.
I'll have to look it up.
Well, I apologize. I just realized that I've spent more time talking about outfits than performances and awards. So I may not have been your expert guest, but I enjoyed talking to you about the evening's highlights.
Oh, outfits are always fair game for award shows for sure. So thank you very much, Nicole, for stopping by to our round 2 this week to talk about the Grammys. And now we're going to move on to something that we actually do watch with most of our attention, I would say. A little bit more of our attention than we give the Grammys, and that is The West Wing. So this week we watched the Stackhouse Filibuster, and of course we listened to the West Wing Weekly podcast that accompanies it. Mm-hmm. So this is another one that you enjoy quite a bit, isn't it, Terri?
Yeah, I like this one. It's a little bit different, and it has as they were saying on the podcast, it has the letter writing conceit where they're all just... These extremely busy people are all just suddenly struck with the need to email various family members, and as they wait to go on their vacations, which we have been led to believe they never get a chance to take. So there's a lot about this episode that you kind of have to let wash over you. But I do, and it's fun, and the performances are good. And
well, they did point out something that it didn't even occur to me. But in the podcast, they mentioned how at the very end of the episode, everyone's writing their email and they keep overlaying. and they're like, was everyone writing the exact same words? Because, Josh says half a sentence and TJ says half a sentence. And they somehow all fit together, which didn't even register with me when I watched it. But then when they mentioned that, I was like, oh, yeah, I see.
Yeah, I agree.
Weird.
It seemed like a good editing idea at the time, and yet when you really think about it, it is very strange.
Right.
But it was enjoyable. I also agreed with them that if you didn't want to stop the bill and open it back up again before, finding this personal connection would not necessarily make it better politics to do it now. Mm-hmm. It's very sweet. I really like that, of them all coming together and they're calling the different grandfathers in the Senate and them getting up to give this guy a break. It's a wonderful feel-good moment. Right. But like many of the feel-good moments, doesn't really make a lot of sense.
Right, once you step back.
Yes, and if Stackhouse didn't want to bring his personal life into it, will he be glad that things were changed because of that? They should just change it because it's the right thing to do, not because, he has a grandson with autism. Isn't that awful? So I was struck by, in the episode, but even more so in the podcast discussion, there was some... the way we talk about autism now has changed a lot. And the people who called in on the phone... And I think Bradley Whitford also talking about a cure, talking about people losing their children to this. Them's fighting words now.
Yeah.
Which is not to say that a lot of people still don't absolutely feel that way, and not to say what my position is on it one way or the other, but there's a lot of talk about, cure versus neurodiversity and, the way parents talk about their children being diagnosed with autism versus the way autism self-advocates feel about it. I was listening and going, ooh, I haven't heard people talking like that in a while out in the open.
15 years.
Yeah. So that was interesting. And I was, in the context of the show way back when, that was one thing. But to hear them talking that way on the podcast just kind of jolted my ears.
Well, and one thing I think that was touching, that those people brought up, the people who called in, was that at least they were hearing the word on a TV show.
Yeah.
So that seemed to be, very meaningful.
Yeah, that was striking to me because now autism is mentioned all the heck over the place. And there's TV characters who are on the spectrum. And it's so mainstream that those of us with kids with different disabilities are like, hey, over here. Autism's not the only thing there is. There's other things. Could we have a fetal alcohol depiction someplace, please? So to think of there was a time when hearing autism on TV was the first time of ever is interesting. Long ago.
Right.
In special needs terms, I think. Right. But I really liked, it was fun seeing the senator read out all these different things. It was a great performance by that guy. And I liked what they were saying on the podcast about the fact that a great deal of his performance was on tiny monitors around the room.
Yeah.
And yet still, you felt for him, and it worked very well. You just had that one scene with him in real, actually
Which
there.
Which was a great scene when Josh went to his office to meet with him, and he basically, and Josh told him he wasn't getting what he wanted. He's like, okay, I'm done with you now.
Yeah.
Stop talking.
Yeah, and I loved seeing that scene in the context of knowing what he was going to do. Mm-hmm. Made it really effective, like, well, you're going to be sorry about that in a short while, Josh.
I'm not going to threaten you right now, but
I'm just going to screw up your news cycle.
And this was a good Donna episode, obviously, because she not only figured out by sort of ridiculous means that,
in a really impressive cognitive leap. And yet I was still thrilled when she did it because I knew what was going to happen. It was like, she's going to figure it out. It was exciting that she figured it out, unless you stop to think, why would that be the conclusion she jumped to?
Right. So she figures out that the senator's grandson might have autism, and she also is the one who remembers the arcane parliamentary rule that the filibuster can continue by someone else asking a question.
Yes, because she listens when Josh bloviates.
Right.
I love the bit, though, where she raises her hand.
The president's like, what are you? Or is it Leo?
Leo, I think, is what are you doing?
What are you doing?
But if you're standing, she's not in the Oval Office very often. And you want to say something, but you don't necessarily feel like you can interrupt people. I can totally see why one would do that.
Be like, hi, over here, just had a little
excuse me
to say.
Got something important. What did you think of the scene with Sam and the intern?
I thought it was pretty unbelievable.
Yes.
That she would really ever do anything. I mean, you're in the White House. And where did she get this gigantic chip on her shoulder that would allow her to feel like she could just go ahead and talk like that?
And she's really read every one of those reports.
Right. And remembers all that stuff that she can just spit back out. That is unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, I appreciated how she said to Sam, call me for a job.
Yes.
After he said, call me when you're at school and we'll talk about a job. And she's like, you call me for a job.
Yes.
I liked that little line, but at the same time,
Yeah. I enjoy the scene while at the same time thinking this is just completely bogus. Yeah. There's not a single element of this that rings true, starting with Sam taking on that job in the first place, or just wandering into a meeting to get a piece of fruit. I don't know.
Right. And stepping in front of people, really making a nuisance of himself to get that.
Plus which Josh has a bowl of fruit in his office.
Right, for the first time ever. I've never seen that before.
Yeah. There must be a story behind why that scene is there, but okay, fine. In an entire episode of things that are kind of well, sure.
Right.
Okay. I thought it was hilarious when they were talking in the podcast about the food porny conversation that the president and Leo were having about.
Oh yeah, I forgot that was in this episode. And I'm sorry, but a tomato stuffed,
yes,
a tomato with caramel and that sounds disgusting.
It really does. When they said it in French, I'm like, pretty sure it's tomato. I haven't gotten to that part of my Duolingo lessons, but I do remember that from high school. Are they going to make fun of the fact that it's a tomato? But no, they were very happy about it.
Oh, it sounds revolting.
It really does. It really does. But the whole thing about them having that little dinner down in the
yes,
with the special chef, and then having that being the place for their conversation about Stackhouse, and also about him running or not running,
right?
Again, which we're very quickly now going to get to. A lot of stuff. A few episodes ago, I said there was a massive something I couldn't say heading in the general direction of a fan.
Yes.
Next episode.
17
and
people.
Tied in with Toby's very odd experience with Hoynes.
Yes.
And I hate that line about stun a team of oxen in its tracks. That always sounds to me like something nobody would ever say.
Right.
I think that Hoynes would just laugh at him and turn around and go, you're seriously suggesting you might ever know more than me? That is never going to happen. What a weasel that guy is. He's an enjoyable weasel, but, and I understand that the story from his point of view is extremely different, but from our point of view, he is a weasel. Right. So
that's coming up next time.
Yes.
17 people. So we'll talk about that.
Yes.
Should we move on now to our challenge round?
Yeah, let's move on to our musical entry.
That's right. Our second musical moment. I challenged you to listen to the album, if we're still using that word.
What do we call things these days? Let's just stop for a moment and ask. Nobody
like
gets
a
albums.
Curated playlist or something.
Hardly anybody gets
use the term, right?
CDs. I think we maybe call them CDs more than albums, do we? I don't know, maybe we call them albums.
I don't know, because no one's buying the physical CD
anymore. Do you have the physical CD of this?
Nope.
No, you downloaded
it.
Yeah, I listened to it on Apple Music, so I don't even have a physical owned download.
Right.
But it's very enjoyable.
Let's just say what it is quickly.
Yes.
It's Sky Full of Holes from the band Fountains of Wayne, which if you don't know Sky Full of Holes, you might know the song Stacy's Mom,
yes.
which is probably their most well-known, probably the only one that ever made the top 40.
And I always remember at the time that song was hot, Lena knew somebody named Stacy and was in band with her, and people would make that joke quite a lot. It was very flattering to her mother.
Yeah, I have a friend whose daughter's name is Tacy. Her name is Anastasia, and they call her Tacy. And someone gave her a little pin that said Tacy's Mom on it, which is awesome.
Yes.
So, but that's from an earlier album. This one is from 2011, and it just, to me, has such a wonderful collection of songs on it. It has some real, poppy, upbeat things. It has a waltz. It has some more melancholy songs to it. So it's a nice mix of things.
Yeah.
What did you think?
I listened to it any number of times on Apple Music, and let me just say how neat it is to be able to just go on Apple Music, search for something, start playing it, not have to worry about anything. But I really enjoyed it, and it reminded me of earlier albums, CDs, collections of songs of theirs. Made me think of, their sound really hasn't changed that much, I don't think. Because many of the songs reminded me of other of their songs that I haven't listened to in a while and have forgotten about, and now I want to go back and listen to again. Yeah. I also really noticed the lyrics and how, number one, they tend to be really specific. I mean, they're telling stories rather than having generic things. Yes. And they sounded like stories that probably have roots in actual events.
Right. Well, and they're so much more unusual than other things you hear.
Yes.
The working man's hands, which I think is a beautiful song, and there's not a lot of other pop music out there that talks about working with your hands and that matters.
Yeah, they're very specific. And also I really enjoyed the rhymes. It's sort of like listening to Lin-Manuel Miranda's stuff too. We're just delighting in the things they managed to put together. Yes. And so that was very fun. I really enjoyed that as much as listening to, and the music as well. It just reminded me so much of earlier ones of theirs that I really enjoyed. I think I have 2 early CDs of theirs. I actually have the physical CDs. And I got to go back and listen to stuff there. I think my favorite of all the songs was Road Song. Not only...
It mentions Green Bay.
Yes, Wisconsin shout out. And I mean, I like road songs anyway, but just, I mean, they had me at the rhyme of Cracker Barrel and Will Ferrell. So, and later on, Necessary and Steve Perry. But that was just very fun. And I like those kinds of songs anyway, and sort of having one that is about that type of song and also making these fun rhymes and things. Yeah. So I really enjoyed that one. But all of them are nice. It was almost a album I could work to, but the words are too catchy that it keeps distracting me. So I have to listen to it when I'm doing things that I don't have to read. But thank you for making me listen to it.
Yeah.
I will.
And both of us have had the experience of driving past the store called Fountains of Wayne that I don't think is there anymore.
No, it's out of business now.
But there was, listeners, once upon a time, a store that was called Fountains of Wayne that sold like yard ornaments and actual fountains and statues and things that you would put
Route
in your
46
yard.
in northern New Jersey, in Wayne, I'm pretty sure. Or adjacent, Wayne adjacent. But
something like that.
Yeah. So it was always fun. Real thing. Yes, and I think there was a song, I don't know, it said it was a bonus song that was about the Passaic River, I think, which is also very close to my house, so that was fun.
And fun fact that Adam Schlesinger, who's one of the members of this band, is now, he works on Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. And he does a lot of the music on Crazy Ex-Girlfriend.
Yeah, that sounds like that would be a good match. The sort of poppy songs and lyrics they have would go well with that.
Definitely, yeah. So that was Fountains of Wayne, Sky Full of Holes, and now you have something for me to watch for next week.
We have done in our challenge rounds now music, and we have done movies, we have done PBS documentaries. I think it's time to have a challenge round that is a TV show. Now, I know you have not watched any of the series Lost, is that correct?
That's true.
Lost was lost on you. And Lost is a difficult show to pluck an episode out of because it was such a spectacular mess pretty much right from the very beginning. So to make you watch the pilot and then not watch any more would be difficult. So I have picked an episode from, I believe it is season 4, episode 5, which is called The Constant. And it is often mentioned at the top of lists of the best Lost episodes. And even I think I've seen it on list of the best TV episodes, altogether. So it's sort of considered a classic. It drops a whole bunch of new mythology that we have not had before. So I think it will be equally as confusing to somebody who had never seen the series as it was to people who have. It also, folks are going to be listening to this episode now on Valentine's Day. Didn't quite sync it up to be that, but let me mention that it has a love story. So everybody go watch it tonight. But it has a nice little 40-minute epic love story in it. So let's watch it. If you are completely confused, I will explain things to you afterwards. I don't think it needs too much explanation up front because it's impossible to explain anything about Lost without going on for like 45 minutes. So just watch the episode. See. I think it will work. And the episode is on Netflix, so if you have access to that, you can catch it there. Otherwise, I don't quite know where you would find it. I imagine there are DVDs. Check your local library. Or probably it's on YouTube somewhere. Somebody has just dumped the entire thing. So go watch it. It's pretty good.
So yes, for next week, we'll do the episode of 17 People from West Wing and Contact from Lost.
The Constant.
No, Constant.
The Constant.
Sorry, The Constant.
Yes.
Okay. And we also thought we would try to get caught up on Speechless and check in on that series again.
The only way it will happen is if you set me a deadline. So this works well.
That's right. So here you go.
Although I again feel like I have pretty much watched it right along just from the clips they put on Facebook. I think they put like 5 clips for each episode of a, 25-minute show minus commercials. So
right. So we're going to check in on Speechless, and that's going to be it for our round 2 today. Please subscribe to our Parenting Roundabout podcast so you won't miss any of our episodes, including our daily speed rounds and weekly group chats. As always, you can find recaps, links, and an opportunity to comment on our website at parentingroundabout.com. Bye, Terri.
Bye, Catherine.
Bye, everyone.